What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Triple Play YouTube channel, or if you're listening on the podcast, appreciate you tuning in. Your boy Doc hosting, me and Brad, the high school buddies, kicking it back. 14 years later, 14, somewhere in that range. We're talking here best bets for the upcoming NFL season. Brad, as we're recording this, 13 days away from the first NFL Sunday, 10 days away for the first NFL game. How you feeling?
I'm excited, man. I wish my team was a little better. My Washington Commanders aren't looking too hot with Carson Wentz back there, but I'm excited to watch everybody else and see all my fantasy takes come true.
That's true. And for those listening, Brad in our draft yesterday went until the 11th round drafting didn't go until round 11 drafting a wide receiver. So the ultimate boom bust strategy on there. But we're not here to talk about our fantasy drafts. For those who are tuning in, we're talking about the best bets, and these are all courtesy of Caesars Sportsbooks. So we're going to give you some team over-unders we like. We're going to give you some player props, and then Brad's going to top it off with a best bet that he likes. And we got our first one here. Brad picking the Cowboys under 10.5 wins. Brad, is that just because you're a Commanders fan?
No, man. I was actually blown away that the Cowboys had no desire to add depth to the offensive line or their wide receiving core. They lost Iron Smith. They lost Amari Cooper, two of their best on the fronts. On top of that, we haven't really seen CeeDee Lamb against number one corners for a full season. Zeke is a year older too, and our most popular video on our YouTube channel right now is a clip of him getting blown up at joint practice with the Broncos. So I just think the Cowboys are putting way too much on Dak to lead this team to a deep playoff run. And I'm not even sure he's that kind of player, to be honest. You know, an Aaron Rodgers or a Tom Brady or a Pat Mahomes, a guy that can take any group to 11 wins. So I just can't see it. I'm going to go under on 10.5 wins for Dallas.
I like that. And I mean, what was once known as their strength with the offensive line. I mean, they just lost Tyron Smith probably for the year. I mean, they're decimated before the season starts, and that's just kind of the brutal nature of football. As injuries aren't always fair. So I like that call. So my first bet I like is the Cardinals under 8.5 wins, and that's at minus 110. Now, this is coming from a 49ers fan who's fairly objective and accurate about what I see in the division here. Now, I think part of their line is inflated due to their 7-0 start last season. But after that, they went 3-7 the rest of the year, including 2-4 after the bye. Some of those losses at Detroit, versus Indianapolis at home. They lost versus Seattle at home. And Brad, they're without DeAndre Hopkins the first 6 games, getting suspended. That offensive line is below average. I know they got Hollywood Brown, but they have a new look offense. They lost Chase Edmonds. I think the division got a little bit tougher in terms of the 49ers and Rams bolstering up. But Kyler Murray just hasn't been healthy the last couple seasons, and I have them pegged for 7 or 8 wins. So if you can get at under 8.5, I really like that.
So I'm going with the Giants under 7.5 wins. They're far and away the worst team in the NFC East. Before he got hurt in the latest preseason game, there were reports that Tyrod Taylor was actually taking first team reps, which at best is just to help light a fire under Daniel Jones, which he probably doesn't need anyway. He knows this is probably his last year to prove himself as the Giants starter. I think Saquon will be himself again, but they aren't going to have the same game script to use him as a dual threat weapon. He's probably going to be relegated to catches out of the backfield. They're going to be behind in most games and forced to throw in the second half of most games, much like last year. Galladay is disappointed as their wide receiver 1. They have a new coaching staff, and growing pains are likely to come with that. I just can't see a world where the Giants win more than 6 games.
Feels like the Giants are always cursed. Even their Super Bowl winning years, I think they've gone 9-7. So I like that. You know, at minus 145, maybe you're not getting the juice that you do with some of these others. But, I mean, Vegas knows something if that's their line and if they're giving you those odds. The last one I want to give, because I think this is really good value in terms of teams, is the Dolphins over 9 wins. So last year, they started the year 1-7, including games 1-4 that Jacoby Brissett started. I think with Tua, the starter the entire year, that bodes well better for them. They finished the season 8-1. Teddy Bridgewater is their backup quarterback. I like him better than I do Brissett. But they added Tyreek Hill. They added Chase Edmonds. Their backfield looks a little bit more revamped with Sony Michel and Raheem Mostert. They just added Trey Flowers. So this is plus money. And all they have to do, 9 is the number. So if it's at 9, they push. But I think they could very well get 10 easily. So if you can get the Dolphins at over 9 wins at plus 100, I don't know if Vegas has changed or Caesar has changed. I think that's a great value there. So for the first player prop I like, it's going to be Mr. Russell Wilson in his new home, the Denver Broncos, over 31.5 passing touchdowns at minus 110. So the biggest thing with Russell Wilson in Seattle is they really wouldn't let him cook. And Denver gave up a lot for him. So that makes me think that he's going to probably set a career high in pass attempts. He's only thrown for the career high, which was 558. But Russell Wilson has thrown over 31 touchdowns 4 times in his career. And he's hit 31 once. So in the 9 years he's been in the league, he's been close 5 times or hit that over. I think he has a good wide receiver core in Denver. Once again, I think they let him cook. And with the division he's in, it could be possibly the greatest offensive division ever. So I think there's going to be a lot of high-scoring games, and Russell Wilson's going to be the guy that's behind it. So over 31.5 passing touchdowns for me.
All right, I'm going to stick with the quarterback theme. For mine, I'm going with Jameis Winston. So I have him over 26.5 passing touchdowns. The argument could be made that Jameis is going to have the best receiving core of his career with a healthy Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, Jarvis Landry, and Alvin Kamara. We know Jameis is a gunslinger. He's not going to have to deal with the Taysom Hill mess at quarterback like he used to. In the 3 seasons that Jameis played, 16 games, he threw for 22 touchdowns in his rookie year, 28 touchdowns the following year, and then in 2019, he threw for 33 touchdowns. I'm expecting a big season for Jameis, where he really has no competition for the starting job, so he'll be able to be himself without the pressure. 27 touchdowns is a number he's very capable of reaching.
Yeah, I agree with you on there, Brad. Only member of the 30-30 club, and albeit 30 interceptions, but also 30 touchdowns as well. So I like that. For my second one, and man, I feel like people think I hate Saquon Barkley, but I just don't like where his value's at. And for me, his total yards under 1,299.5. So Saquon cleared that number easily his first 2 years with close to 2,000 his first year and close to 1,500 his second year. His third year is when he suffered his torn ACL. And last year in his first year back, he had 856 total yards. Keep in mind, this is rushing and receiving. So that was over 13 games, which comes out to an average of about 66 yards per game. So let's say that he kept that number and miraculously played all 17 games. That would still put him at around 1,122 yards. So we're going to need to see an increased tick in the yards per game that he was getting, and also help that he stays healthy all 17. I know he's looked explosive, but running back is a position that's very hard to stay healthy for the entirety of the season, where teams might be looking to scale back their load if they're in contention or if they want to just keep them healthy down the stretch. I think if his name wasn't Saquon and he didn't have the first 2 seasons under his belt, that his number wouldn't be as high. So I'm just playing the history, the odds, and looking forward. I don't think that this is going to be a number that he hits. And kind of in tune with Brad's Giants under 7.5. I think that team is just kind of a wreck.
All right, I like that. So for my second prop bet, I'm going with Kyler Murray over 524.5 rushing yards. It's a minus 115 with Caesars. So I know you had some hate for Kyler earlier, but I think Kyler's going to have an incredible year with all the pressure he's under with the new contract and the study clause. Whether he was studying or not, he's always been able to rely on his athleticism to make plays. And with Hopkins out for a PED suspension, he'll be forced to make more plays instead of sitting in the pocket and waiting for Hopkins to get separation. So he's rushed for 500 yards every year but last year, so the opportunity is definitely there. I think this is an easy smash.
Yeah, I don't think that's an issue at all. The only thing that holds Kyler back is health. And when you're dependent on your legs, you hope for not a lower body injury. But assuming he stays healthy, I mean, we've seen him rush for 60, 80 yards in a game easily. So that's close to 15% right there. So I like that call, Brad. So this is about to wrap things up here. But Brad, why don't you tell us your favorite bet for this season before we get out of here?
Okay, I think this one's the easiest smash of any that we've mentioned so far. My favorite bet is A.J. Brown over 6.5 touchdowns. Caesar's giving you -125, and I'd be smashing that. So, by every indication, A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts have had incredible chemistry, and Hurts was lobbying to play with Brown for an entire offseason. This Eagles offense is scary, and I anticipate Hurts throwing for over 25 touchdowns, and I don't think A.J. Brown having a 25% share of that is a stretch by any means. He's going to far and away be Jalen Hurts' favorite target. So I think having 6.5 touchdowns for A.J. Brown is easy money.
I like that. And as someone that has drafted A.J. Brown on a couple fantasy teams, I hope he doubles that. Maybe even triples that. Break Randy Moss's record while you're at it. But
there you go.
That's going to do it for us. If you're tuning in on the YouTube channel and you're not already subscribed, please make sure you to do that. If you're on the podcast, appreciate you listening. Make sure you give us a 5-star rating and review. And if you're catching the volume 2, make sure you turn into volume 1, because David and Johnny give you some great lines as well. And it'll be interesting to see 3-4 months down the road who hits and who doesn't. But Brad, anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Yeah, you can catch my fantasy football rankings on FantasyPros.com. I also write articles for Fantrax HQ. As always, you can catch me on Triple Play Fantasy's YouTube channel.
Perfect.